right. You don't know the stress of pulling the tables and the chairs out. There's a huge stress to this. And so, well, hello, everybody. You know, I like Askit Basket because when Jesus was on the planet, some people asked Jesus questions. If you've read the Bible, you know that. For instance, when Jesus is telling some folks the signs that are going to happen at the end of the world as they know it, some people ask, well, when is this going to happen, Jesus? That's a good question, right? Then there were Jesus' disciples, right? And they asked Jesus to teach them how to pray. That was a good question. We read about a rich man in the Bible who asked Jesus how to get eternal life. That's a great question. Questions are so good. And the Bible totally agrees with this. Psalm 86:11 says, "Teach me your ways, Lord, that I may rely on your faithfulness. Give me an undivided heart that I may reverence your name." Teach me your ways, Lord, is a great thing. Asking for God's teachings assumes that we have some questions that need God's answers. But here's what's perplexing to me. It's not perplexing to me that some people ask Jesus questions in the Bible. What's perplexing to me is that more people didn't ask Jesus questions. Why didn't more people do that? A few did, but the weird thing is that in the Bible, we see far more instances of when Jesus is asking questions of other people rather than people asking questions of Jesus. I mean, in my personal opinion, based on my own defective character, is that people don't probably, maybe I'm reading into it, but maybe people just didn't want to hear anything other than what they think, right? Maybe. I mean, sometimes I get that way, so they didn't ask. Proverbs 12:1 guards against this when it says, "Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but whoever hates correction is stupid." Stupid? Okay, so next time someone says it's not nice to call someone stupid, you can go, "It's in the Bible, ha. Anyway, I think it would have been wiser. The point is, I think it would have been wiser for people to ask Jesus as many questions as they could. And Jesus models for us how to be curious by his own questions that we see in the Bible. Here are a few of the types of questions that Jesus seemed to ask throughout his time here on the planet. He asked questions that engaged people. He asked questions that built relationships. He asked questions that forced the people that he was interacting with to have to think about things. He created conversations with questions. He helped his listeners to own their own conclusions by asking questions. He sometimes answered questions with questions of his own. How annoying was that, I'm sure. He sometimes asked warm-up questions to get things going. The bottom line is that Jesus thought questions were useful. So by asking questions, we are in good company. And Jesus wants our questions. And we don't want to be like all the people who could have asked Jesus questions but didn't, right? I don't want to be one of those. In recovery, we learn from other people in recovery how to stay free from our addictions, afflictions, and compulsive behaviors. Jesus taught his friends, and then they taught others. The Apostle Paul said this, it's what we do too, Philippians 4:9, "Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you." So by asking questions, what we do is we learn from other people in recovery, and then we can grow beyond our problems into full followers of Jesus. And it all starts with our willingness to ask questions. So today we have these guys up here, these folks who have a little recovery experience, and they're going to try to shed some light on some of the recovery questions that you've asked. God and other people have poured recovery into these folks, and they're going to pour it out onto us. So first, I'm going to have them intro themselves, and let's see how they tackle some of these really good questions. I'm always amazed at some of the insightful stuff that comes in. Let's see how they do. I for one can't really wait to hear from them, but enough from me. So go ahead. Who are you?
Hi, everybody. My name is Adam. I am a grateful Christ follower who struggles with alcoholism and drug addiction.
Hello, Adam.
Hey, my name is Ann. I'm a grateful Christian, and I struggle with codependency and anxiety.
Hi, Ann.
Hi, I'm Tom, grateful Christian, and I'm in recovery from anger, fear, anxieties, and I struggle with those areas and many others. And I have a sponsor who has a sponsor who has a sponsor.
Awesome. Hi, Tom. That is very good. It's good to be a sponsor and to have a sponsor. Look at all of this stuff. I don't even know where to start. Wow. You know, the 5 essentials, right? Jesus, sponsor, 12 steps, meetings, and service. So I try to kind of sometimes categorize these things in those sorts of categories, but, you know, questions can't be categorized real easily. So I think I'm just going to hop in with about meetings. A couple of people had the same question, and I kind of posted some stuff online as well to get some ideas from people online what questions they had, and they had a lot of questions about meetings too. Things like, how many recovery meetings should I be going to each week? How many meetings, what kind of meetings should I be going to every week? And I thought maybe I'd just start with Adam and ask him about meetings. Attend them.
Absolutely, meetings, attend them. I was told and still feel that there's only 2 times that I need to go to a meeting, when I want to and when I don't want to. The importance and the repetitiveness of attending meetings for me is I need to stay around like-minded people that are trying to travel on the same path that I want to travel on. I can easily get lost on my own, and if I am not with like-minded people like myself, maybe some of the people that I hear talking that are how I used to be might start to make more sense to me than what I need to be hearing today. And another great reason for continued meeting attendance, not every story of relapse I have heard started this way, but the majority of them started with, I stopped going to meetings.
Yes, absolutely.
And I do not want to have my story go that way. I feel that I always have another relapse in me, but maybe not another recovery. So I'd rather stay here than have to struggle with trying to come back. So that's why I keep coming back.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. This is a good thing. We had some questions about the steps. I thought I'd ask Ann. Ann struggles with anxiety, so she loves being up here. She absolutely adores it. Yes. It's just like she's going, no, I really don't. But I'm so glad to have her up here because I think this is a great question. Do you really have to do the 4th step, and why? And the 4th step, of course, is when we make a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves, and of course that goes into the 5th step of sharing it with.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, next.
So.
That
good
was
answer,
easy.
good
Very
answer.
good.
Thanks.
Good answer.
I'm
Okay.
here all night. Yeah, you need to do a 4th step. And I think that for me it was really hard to do a 4th step. But I heard somebody share once that the anticipation of doing the 4th step is much worse than actually doing your 4th step. So I think in doing my 4th step, I got to know myself and what I was carrying and the first time I did my fourth step, it was a really long pages of fourth step. But it kind of sorts out for me all that stuff that I had been dragging through my life, what weighs me down. And I got to know myself better. I'm using I statements, I'm just saying. If you don't do a fourth step, you're going to continue to carry that stuff, because the next part of it is releasing all that stuff you've been carrying in your fifth step in a safe place, and that's with your sponsor. So if you don't want to do a fourth step, you can choose to just keep carrying that stuff and not changing. But yeah, we need to. And in the end, the fifth step is your safe place. Your sponsor and Jesus. It's just about letting it all go.
There's freedom in that, isn't there?
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's
Cool.
like a weight being lifted.
We just sang about that, right? Chain breaker?
Chain breaker.
Breaks the chain.
Yep.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ann.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. That is a good answer. I don't remember that. Okay, well, let's go along the lines of another essential. There's always questions about sponsorship. I think there were some questions about sponsorship. Oh yeah, there's that one. I like that one. Okay, so I'm gonna throw a few of them at you, Tom. Okay?
Okay.
Because they're always in the same.
These guys only got one.
He bought me, okay, I was on a group text, and I was like, I am going to die if I don't get a Pepsi Zero. Can somebody bring me one? And Adam's like, I will bring you one if you do not ask me any hard questions. And I was like, sold, man. I need a Pepsi One. Sorry, Tom. Okay, there you go. Sponsorship. Why do I need a sponsor? After we're done with the steps, how often should we still be meeting with our sponsor? Because the sponsor sees us through the steps, right? And how about some characteristics for sponsors? And does your sponsor guide you in your personal life as well? Or is it just in the steps? So all about sponsors,
Yeah.
Sponsorship
Sure.
101.
All right, well, let's start out as, why do you have a sponsor? And I would say if you're asking that question, it probably means you don't have a sponsor. And my first question for you is, that means that you're your sponsor, and put it to the Dr. Phil test. How's that working out for you? Right? You are where you are, and that's been with you as your own sponsor. So why don't you get somebody who's a little further ahead in the journey, having some success, probably having a lot of success, and move in and ask them how to do it. And then when they agree to work with you, the next step would be the greatest piece of advice that I could give you is actually do it. This was set up that way. God never meant for us to be alone in anything, right? Why did he send his son Jesus? Why did he send us, wise counsel? Why did he send us friends and other people in recovery? And then you've also got your accountability team, and then you've got the community of like-minded believers that Adam just talked about in your meetings. And you don't have to do it alone. But it's really, if you think of your sponsor, every team needs a head coach. Somebody needs to know. You have to go to somebody that knows more about it than you do. And for the Jesus is my sponsor folks, why can't Jesus be my sponsor? Practical reason that he's not going to come down here to earth, sit across from a table physically in the natural and call you on your junk. But your sponsor can.
How about qualities of a sponsor?
Well, first thing is look at be a fruit inspector. Look at the fruit on the tree.
Fruit inspector.
Yeah.
Write that one down
Yep.
on your little piece of paper. there.
Look at the fruit on the tree. First, do they have a sponsor? Are they doing the stuff? Are they doing the 5 essentials? Are they working their 12 steps? Look at their life. Is it where you want it to be? What kind of successes have they had? Are they successful? Are they staying with their program? Are they working it actively? You know, if they're going to have you go to meetings, are they making meetings? And the other thing is that, you know, do they say yes?
How about will a sponsor guide you in your personal life as well, or is, how far in, do we get here?
You know, that's always that some of that is your own personal relationship with your sponsor. How much you open. I mean, it is your sponsor's job to guide your personal life? No, your sponsor's job is to guide your recovery and to guide you through the steps and to keep you on track in your recovery. However, within that, they do blend together. And there's parts of that that actually kind of commingle, you know, is it, but it probably more in terms of how do your questions about your life pertain to your recovery? And so there's some questions that'll be for your sponsor. There may be some questions for your pastor. There may be some questions for your spouse. It's kind of tough to give a specific answer to a broad question, but yes, there are areas that they will speak into, and and in the relationship you do grant them that latitude. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I found, and I'm sure you guys have too, that, in sponsor-sponsee relationships that, we don't know everything. I mean, sponsors don't know everything. But, sometimes somebody's been through something or has some wisdom in an area and might share it. You don't have to listen to it. But I have found with my sponsor that if I'm asking an opinion and of somebody who has the wisdom that I think can give me that opinion, it probably behooves me to take that opinion into consideration when I'm going forward. Obviously, I'm confused, and I need a little wisdom. So I think everybody has probably fallen into that as well. I have a question here. It's like I think it. Why do I need a power greater than myself? And I kind of almost laughed at this question. I hope I'm not laughing at you, whoever you are. I'm not laughing at, I'm laughing with. Because, I did a really lousy job of living myself. In fact, I did such a lousy job of it all that I ended up here, which I'm glad, because I love you all very much, and I'm glad to be in recovery, but that's how bad I did at running my own life. And a power greater than ourselves is greater than ourselves. And if you think that through, you'll see that that's better, that better is better. So a power greater than ourselves is better than what we can come up with. So that's why we need a power greater than ourselves. So I kind of thought that I would just address that question. Another thing along the line of power greater than ourselves, I want to ask Adam about this. Because this is a really good question. Can I start doing my recovery with just a general higher power and then just kind of step towards Jesus in time?
That's a great question.
It is a great question.
And absolutely, and I am proof of that fact. And just to backpedal a little bit as far as the higher power goes, before I got into recovery, I did have a higher power. For me, it was my addictions, but it could be your addiction, your affliction, your compulsive behavior. If you're anything like me, it told me when to get up, when to go to sleep, go to work, don't go to work, whatever. Everything I did was based on that. Even if it's a compulsive behavior, if it's something that you cannot stop on your own, even though you think you want to and are trying to, that is a power greater than yourself. At least it was for me. So I need something to replace that. Now, I was in traditional 12-step recovery a long time before I came here to choose recovery. And the concept of a higher power has grown and changed in my life immensely throughout my recovery. first off, right off the bat, like when I came into a room of recovery, there was these group of people in Alcoholics Anonymous, a group of people that together could stay sober when I myself never could on my own. That right there was a power greater than myself. And this traditional 12-step recovery, I know around here we identify our power as Jesus Christ, but the 12 steps, it's about trying to you have that spiritual experience, trying to guide you to that spiritual experience that might lead to you finding a higher power, but I can assure you that this recovery program and process does work, and I started with just that as my higher power right there, and it grew and changed since then in amazing ways. Like when I first got here, it was like I didn't know what I was missing until I saw it and found the people and found that connection. But you don't need that to start by no stretch the imagination whatsoever. This process can lead you there without a doubt. And if you don't have doubts about a higher power or whatever, like the belief I have from my higher power and many people I know here around here, even if you just believe that we believed, like our higher power is enough for anybody and everybody. So I would strongly suggest, like, don't let that hold you back, because you can get there eventually. And if you're just looking for something to get you out of whatever you're into, this process can start as a higher power in and of itself.
Thank you, Adam. I think that's a great answer. That's my experience. You just told my story in a nutshell, right there. Okay, so here's one. Why do I need to do service work? I is underlined several times. And there's a parenthesis too. Isn't there enough people doing that kind of stuff? Yes, there is. There is enough people doing that kind of
stuff. Is
there,
though?
There's enough people.
I don't think there is.
But why do I need to do service work is the great question. That's the really good question there. And I think we all do, because service work gets us out of ourselves and makes us think about and care about something other than our own little stuff. And it helps our recovery in that way. And guess what? It also furthers other people's recovery, and it furthers the program. So that's why I need to be doing service work, even though there's plenty of other people doing that kind of stuff. I've got one for you. Wait a minute. Okay, because there's so many good ones, and I want to get to them all. Okay. Let's. The suggestion is, if you're not in a relationship, a romantic relationship, here we go. We're going to go there. Okay. We're going to go there. If you're not in a romantic relationship when you get into recovery, why did they say to stay out of a relationship for a year? Can't you just have friendships with the opposite sex instead? Come on, help us out here. Illuminate us. She's looking at me. Illuminate us.
I had just read in a book somewhere that a different perspective on that question, and I can't remember the answer. I think, in my personal opinion, I was always very fortunate. I was married every time. I've been married for a very long time. And every time that I've been in program, Al-Anon or whatever, I've been married. So it wasn't really an issue, but I had friends, my brother, other people. I think that first year, you don't even know who you are, right? That first year is just about finding out who you are and all that stuff that we're carrying, and it's soul searching. And I really think that if you involve someone else, that other person could become your higher power or your focus, or I think you just need to know who you are first. And a year is probably, I mean, it seems like a long time, but it's really, really not. It's probably just the tip of the iceberg when
Right,
you're trying
right.
to figure out, when you're new to this, and what is all this about, and, you know, what are my character defects. So, especially for me, as a codependent person, I don't think it would have been good for me to latch onto someone else and go through it and depend on that. What do you think we should do? What do you want to eat? No, you gotta know you gotta know yourself first, and it's just introspective. You need to stay focused.
Thank you, Anne. That was
Thanks.
awesome. Very good. Got a little bit of a hard one for you here, Tom. How long did it take to... Yeah, I'm sorry, but I think this is really a perfect one for you, really, because I know that you've experienced some of this stuff. How long did it take to forgive yourself from harm you've done to others? How long does that take before that actually happens? Forgiveness.
You know, I don't know if I could put an exact time on there. I can tell you my story. It happened during my fifth step. Fifth step, guys, the fourth and fifth that we lose everybody on, right? It happened, and that's actually, I will tell you that the very point that I forgave myself was really when my recovery began. That was the beginning. I can give other date, but that forgiving myself, I moved forward. And especially one that was, a struggle with internalizing and stuffing, and to see my side of the things that, see my contribution, but then to also be able to give, it was, a lot of us probably have a similar story. We could accept the forgiveness from God, we could accept the forgiveness from others, but I can't forgive myself for what I did.
Right.
But by doing that, and that was only through my sponsor. One more reason for sponsor.
Right.
Because he walked me through that, and he guided me through, and by doing all the rest of the first 4 steps and guiding me so thoroughly through that, and I didn't leave anything out, when I forgave myself was during my 5th step.
There's something about that forgiveness that we receive, even though that person doesn't need to forgive us, but we get that acceptance and we begin to be able to feel that. I know
A
that's
wise
true.
person told me once that if God could forgive me, but I couldn't forgive myself, I was playing God.
Okay, that's another one. Write it down. Yeah, that's right. If God can forgive. And on that note, I want us to give these guys a hand. If we have not gotten to your questions, it's just because there's no time in your small group. Please ask your question, because I think on the handout, that's one of, with the questions we're going to talk about in small group in a little bit. I think that's one of them. Do you have any questions? Go ahead and ask it. I want to thank these guys. Thank you so much. And we're going to move this table away. We're going to get the band up. And you can just put them down there. That's fine. Get these moved back. The band's going to come. Thank you, folks. There was one more question, and this one was so profound. I wanted to keep it for the end. And it really made me think and pray. And I know I've asked this question as well, and I still ask this question sometimes. And the question is, if God is so loving, why is there so much suffering in the world? If God is so loving, why is there so much suffering in the world? I'm not sure I'm going to know the answer to that until I see Jesus face to face. And I know I'm going to have a very long list of questions like this that he's going to have to answer for. And I think that he will have an answer for them. But I can tell you one thing. Here at Choose Recovery and in recovery programs in general, 12-step recovery programs, the suffering in our world is relieved by Jesus. Jesus is the one who relieves our suffering. Jesus is the Prince of Peace. He's the comfort. He's the strength. He's the guidance. He's the wisdom. He's the love. That no matter what we're walking through, he can walk us through it and help us to overcome it. I stand on that because it's been my experience in recovery. So if you just keep coming back, you'll experience that as well. I don't know why there's some sorts of suffering. I don't know why, but I do know that in our recovery lives, that Jesus can relieve your suffering. And so if you're suffering today, and even if you're not, if you just want to spend some time with Jesus, this altar is going to be open as the band plays this song. Come, spend some time with him. Receive what you need. Receive the comfort from him to go forward, the guidance that you need for your next step, the wisdom that you need maybe with something that's going on in your life. Receive his love, because it's really his love that's going to be the real power in your life. So this altar is going to be open for that. If you need somebody to pray with you, just raise your hand. We're here, and we'll come and we'll pray you through whatever it is. So let's stand. I'm going to pray, and then the altar is going to be open. God, we thank you for the questions tonight. We thank you for the bravery of people to be able to ask questions. You don't want us to suffer. You don't want us to try to stumble around and try to figure things out by ourselves. You've given us each other to be able to help each other through this thing called recovery. You know, this is hard. Getting over addictions, afflictions, and compulsive behaviors in this world that we have going on today, it's hard. But God, we know that you give us new purpose and new joy when we work our recovery program together. So thank you for the questions. Thank you for the people who asked them. And I ask right now that your Holy Spirit flood this place, that you flood inside the hearts of the people, and that you pull people to you right now. And that nobody feel funny about coming to the altar. Nobody feel funny about raising their hand if they need prayer tonight. And we pray it in Jesus' name. Amen.